Hi, Michael here again. I've decided to do a little video just to test the limits of a live distribution. Actually, I'll just grab my USB stick. Now the live distribution is simply on this USB stick. I think it's about 8 gigabyte. I think the distribution itself is around about 4 or 5 gigabytes of that. I've deliberately stripped this PC down to the minimum. There are physically no SATA cables or IDE cables or anything connected to the hard drive. It's got a graphics adapter. It's got a second network adapter, but that's arbitrary. What I've got plugged in at the rear, I don't know how well that shows up. Yes, the monitor cable, the power cable. Okay, there are no, I'll give you a closer look inside that machine. To review the hardware in there. Nothing plugged into the motherboard down here. All we've got is power going to the motherboard. Okay, the graphics adapter, which is a gigabyte graphics adapter, which happens to be running an NVIDIA chipset. This is an older machine, it's about a 2 gigahertz machine. I've deliberately chosen a lower resolution monitor in the hope that for the purpose of this video, the pixels will show up better on the video when I'm fully zoomed in. Okay, now what I want to do is test the live distro's hardware limits and also software limits to see what sort of things we can expect it to do. Fundamentally, one thing I found with live distributions, the first one I came across was Knoppix. And this, I guess, was probably in the order of, say, 2002, 2003. I don't know, don't quote me on that. But I was amazed at how much of a system that gave me. But we're now in 2016. We're using a lot more hardware, a lot more software. And what inspired me to do this video in the first place was, I don't know how that's going to show up. Let's try that. This sticker. Where is it? You see that? Blimey, it's hard to focus. Okay, this sticker saying stop. Don't plug in the USB cable until you've installed the software. Now, that's to do with this, where am I? To do with this printer. And I thought, well, that inspired me to do a distribution comparison like my other video that I did a couple of weeks back, comparing Mac OS and Microsoft and Ubuntu. But I thought, well, before I do all of that, I might just try the live distro. Anyway, here we are. So what I'll do is I'll power this thing up. First I've got to plug the distro in, do a USB port, so you can see me doing that. Okay, so I'll plug that in there. It's powered up. Okay. I've got to press F12 to decide what it's going to boot from. Too late. Oh, it's already booting from the USB stick. Well, that saved me some bother. If it had a hard drive physically connected, it would have had to be told which device to boot from. As it's the only device plugged into it, obviously it's decided it's got to boot from that. Now we've got to be a little bit patient with the live distribution because it actually has to find the hardware. It's not installed, so it has no pre-configuration of anything about this machine. It's got to discover everything for itself. On a Microsoft installation, you'd have to install everything and then install the specific drivers for your hardware to be able to use, well, things like the graphics adapter to any sort of standard. So let's just see how this goes. Let's zoom in a tad more. Okay, it's going to change out from a simple frame buffer to a better driver. That's much finer detail. Probably doesn't show that well in the video, but it certainly looks good on the monitor. Now this monitor's, I guess, about 1400 pixels wide. I don't know its exact resolution, but it's certainly less than 1600. Okay, so we've got a reasonable screen resolution. I'm going to choose try, which is going to give me the live distribution. Okay, that's up and running. Now what I'm going to do is connect a network cable. See what that does. With a bit of luck, that should auto-detect and give me a network. Use DHCP to find its connection. Okay, so that was pretty smooth. Okay, I'll close this window here. In the bottom right hand corner of the screen, there are 4 rectangles or squares. They represent a desktop. I'm going to open a Firefox browser. What I aim to do there is test things like codecs, so I'll try YouTube. It's going to prove 2 things. One, that I've got a network connection, and the other one, of course, whether I've got video codecs. I don't know what this is. I haven't got speakers connected, but I'm sure we don't really need that for this demo. Anyhow, it's playing the video okay, so that's all well and good. Alright, so I'll close that. Yeah, I'll close that. Well, that was a cable network. I might just disconnect that. The next thing I might try is, you can see this wireless device, it's a USB plug-in. Oh, it's complaining, no network. I'll plug this in. Okay. No flashy lights. There's no hardware response here. When there's a... Yep, I'll unplug that, do it again. There we go. The light's flashing, so there's a hardware response. So I'd assume any second now. Nothing yet. Try again. Yes, now we've got... There's 3 wireless, it's saying Wi-Fi networks available. I'm going to pick just an open one. If I needed to use one of the others, I'd need credentials to type them in, etc. But basically this is working exactly the same as a installed distribution. Okay, so now I'm going to choose the open one. That's established. Good. Some random test. Okay, so we have internet working, the browser's working, the wireless networking was effortless to set up. Let's try some other hardware. Let's maybe try the monitors. I've got one monitor connected. I notice there's a second port on that graphics adapter. I've taken out the USB networking and switched back to cable networking. Because I've only got 4 ports on this device and I want to show printer installation in a second. But for the moment I'm going to install, well, I'm going to set up a monitor, see how that goes. That one. Starting to collect some cables now. Oh. Alright, well, it hasn't exactly set up automatically for me. We'll just see what we can do with some manual settings. Actually, I'll go to Control Center, Displays. It's just detected both of them. Okay, apply, close. Now there's a problem with that. I've got the mouse around the wrong way. It's set up the display okay. Don't know whether you can see that. But I've got a bit of a mix-up with the different settings. So I'll just go back, oops, and change my settings. So I want to have this monitor on that side. Apply. Okay, that's set perfectly. So if I move this to the right, it transitions beautifully. Okay, that's correct. Clearer? Okay, so what's happened is I've got the monitors configured in such a way. This is the left monitor, this is the right monitor, software-wise, not just physically. All my controls are on this screen, like the menu to start things and whatever, are on this side. Pardon me, the desktop switching, if I click here, it puts me to the next desktop. For example, the first desktop I have this administration or control center they call it. I'll go to the next desktop and start maybe Firefox as a browser. So I switch back to the other desktop. And you can see multiple desktops, there's a clear desktop. Okay, so that's working smoothly. It's hard to believe this is functioning so well as a live distribution. It's not installed. Now, what I'd like to do now is I might install some software, see how that goes. Now this is actually quite surprising that this even works, because I'm assuming this works. If this works, it's not going to be installing to a hard drive, it's not going to be installing to my USB stick, it's just going to be installing into RAM. I've just picked on graphics applications. I don't know how well that'll show up for you. I'll just zoom in. This is what they call Software Boutique, and it gives quite a few options. As to types of software you can install, it's broken into sections. I've gone to graphics. I'm going to install GIMP. Now this is a bit mind-bending for me. I'm installing software on a system that is not physically installed anywhere. It's just running live in RAM, which I'm quite impressed by. Now going back to my little label here, while that's installing, I don't know if you can read that, my little label here that told me I had to install the software before I could plug in the USB stick. Now while it's installing that software, what I might do is plug in the printer that on Windows at least, I have to install the software as per these instructions before I can plug in the USB device. Now, considering this is inspiration for this video, I suppose I better pay this more attention. Here's the document, still in sealed bags. And here's the printer, which I've already installed on another Linux box. But I'm going to install it here on this live distribution to see how it behaves. So I'll plug it into the USB port here, which apparently on Microsoft I cannot do, or should not do. There's the power. So what happens there. Now it's installing software currently. This is a live distribution, it's installing software. It's found the printer, as you can see here. I'll zoom in on that again. Actually I might, which way? Let's go the wrong way with this. Might go to that screen. Is that clear enough? Reasonably. Okay, I might set up, I'll close that. Printers, where are we? Should be here somewhere. Printers, there we go. I'm going to add a printer. Just found that. USB connection. Searching for drivers. I'm going to cancel that. And I'm going to pick, oh, it's a Dymo device. Yep, forward. It's only got one driver showing. No, not much choice here, but to choose it. I'll go apply. Would I like to print a test page? Well, yeah, just to test it. I'm either going to get success or failure, so I'll just zoom out so you can see both the printer and the screen. There's the printer. I'm going to go, yeah, print test page. Printed. Okay. Well, I'm impressed by that. I didn't need to install any software. I didn't need to download anything. It's a live distribution. So it's not even installed on my machine. And it's using that printer. So I'm pretty impressed by that. Okay, now this, over on this other screen, zoom, zoom, zoom. Focus. There we go. It's just about finished with the installation. You can see what details. Oh, it's been done. Okay, just as I clicked on that, happened to be finished. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So I've installed some software. Applications. Can you read that? Yeah, applications, graphics, GIMP. So I've just installed the GIMP photo editor on this machine. Well, that's pretty cool. Okay, I've just installed the label writer, which on other systems you have to actually install the software before you even bother plugging it in. I might try another printer. So I didn't even use the installation disk that came with the other printer. This one here, I don't have the installation disk. It is an old printer. At the time it was the smallest laser printer I could buy. I use it on the road. I'm a cabinet maker, and when I'm on site I use this printer to do my printing and scanning. So it's got two components. It's both a printer and a scanner. Plug that guy in. Power. Okay. So it'll wake up. The printer's waking up. It says configuring new printer. Let's just see what that looks like. Oh, I missed it. All happened so fast. Oh, it's already in the... That's the printer there. It's already in the set of printers. Okay. Let's print a test page. I suppose better zoom back out again. Okay, let's print a test page. That's printed beautifully. I mean, really beautifully. Try and zoom folks back out of here. Don't know where that shows up. Trying to make that clear as I can. Okay, so you've got even a border here around the edges of the page, which is quite evenly spaced. The rendering of all the shading is quite nicely. You can see here on this wheel. Very nicely shaded. Of course, the text is fine. The rest doesn't really much matter. But every detail about this printer driver is working absolutely perfectly. And I actually didn't do anything, it just worked. Right? So I just plugged it in and it worked. Alright. Now, okay, I'm going to zoom, focus on the monitors, zoom in. Okay, where are we there? It's quite tricky going in and out all the time, but here we go. So I want to be able to use a scanner. So, okay. I'm not overly familiar with this software boutique. I use another piece of software called Synaptic, which I'll install that. There we go, install. So it's going to download and install quite a bit of software. This is the long-winded way of installing software. If you know what you're doing, you can just run a command line and install it in 2 seconds flat. But I'm doing this as a demonstration for, say, a new user that has no familiarity with the system. Close that. Okay, bye-bye. Let's close all these windows. Okay, so that's been installed. I can launch it from here. Close that one. Okay, now this package called Synaptic gives a finer grained searchability. I'm going to just type in the word, I don't know, scan. Let's try that one. It's going to give a lot of results. Well, there's too many there to bother reading through. I happen to know a package. I mean, a novice would be reading through and could read any great detail about all these packages. Oop, I've just pressed something. But if you know what you're looking for, you've got the ability to XANE is the package I want. Okay. It's also going to install whatever dependencies there are. Mark them. I'm going to install a little bit extra. Apply. So it's going to download those packages and install them. Okay. So what I've done now is I've installed the photo editor, which is called GIMP. It's quite an equivalent to Photoshop. To find that, I might just zoom in again. Zoom. Okay. Graphics. That's another thing I quite like about this menu. It's sorted in order of the type of package you're going to use, like accessories, graphics, internet, office, sound and video, system tools, universal access. I'm going to go for graphics because that's where I expect GIMP to be. Okay, now GIMP defaults to multiple windows, which is cool, but I don't like that behavior, especially not for this demo. So I'll set it to single window mode. So now I've got sort of one contained package. Go File, Create, and now I've got XANE as an option in GIMP for using the scanner. So I'll just zoom out. Just open the scanner. I don't know, what have we got here? That will do. I'll put this on there. Oops. File, Create. Now this is a live distribution. It's bending my brain still. I'm still madly impressed by this. So I'm going to use this to get a preview. Now, XANE is a very, very powerful package, just as a scanning tool alone. It allows you to choose, pardon me, contrast, gamma, of course resolution. You can even do negatives and film and all sorts of bits and pieces. I'm just going to choose a high resolution here, and I'm going to single out a portion, maybe the printer itself. Let's just do that. And I might also rotate it 90 degrees. Wrong way. 270. That's the right way. Scan. And shortly that should be done, I hope. Now I'll zoom in to that. Okay, so that's materialized in GIMP. And there you have that. It's scanned fine enough that it's showing the print resolution. So that's, you know, it's done a pretty good job. I've been able to do all that from the live distribution. Basically it's full functionality of what the photo editor would be anyway, and I'm running live. So I've got scanners and printers. I'm using the graphics adapter properly. What else have we got here? I don't know, let's try maybe a card reader. I'm out of USB ports. I know one left. Okay. So that basically came instantly up after I plugged it in. Now, with Microsoft, I noticed it seems to install something. I don't know exactly what it's installing, but it's installing something. So we can use the various different USB card readers and USB sticks, etc. On Linux, it just came straight up. Okay, so that worked rather well. Let's just see how busy the system is. Where are we? I don't know whether you can see that. Let's just zoom in. Unfortunately, that's as clear as I think I can get it, but the CPU usage is very low. The RAM, we're sitting at about 1.6 gigabytes of RAM. There's very little network traffic because I'm not doing anything. There's no swap available because there's no hard drive installed. Now, considering everything including the storage of the operating system is happening in RAM, I'm quite impressed by that. Anyhow, I think that's a fairly good all-round test of this system. I've got to say I'm really impressed with how the guys have brought it all together, and gals, whoever's involved. I'm sure there's many. Yeah, I hope that was of interest to you. It was very impressive to me, and I've learned quite a few new things. I did not expect the printer and scanner to work as well. I did not expect the full control of the graphics adapter as I got. And I'm flabbergasted that I could install software. Very impressive.